On here, I'm going to show you how to carve a small clay head inspired by the sculpture of George Baselitz. So here I'm starting with a rectangle-shaped block, and I'm carving half of it so it's kind of egg-shaped, and the back of it's going to stay flat on there. So I'm rounding the corners and still making it slightly wider at the top than the bottom, as the top of the head is wider than the chin on there. So I'm going to keep carving until I've got a satisfying half egg shape on here. Then I'm going to carve about halfway down 2 slots for the eyes with my carving tool here, just pushing it in a little bit further, and then carving the nose by carving out a little bit of the face on here to give the shape of the face on my sculpture on here. So just taking a little bit more out. Once I've done that, I'm just manipulating with my fingers and kind of pushing it in to make it look that little bit better. So I'm pushing in the forehead a little bit. My nose looks a bit flat, so I'm adding some clay little bit by little bit on top of the nose on here. I'm going to do 2 little balls at the side for the nostrils, and keep shaping and blending that shape on there. So refining the sides of the face. I'm just checking the profile as well. I think the nose is still a little bit flat, so I'm going to add a little bit of clay on there too to refine the shape of the nose. I'm going to pushing the forehead in a little bit. The chin looks like it's going in a little bit too much, so I'm going to add a little bit of clay on the chin to make it more prominent. To shape your nose, you can push the nostrils in with a pencil. And just keep refining that on there, and keep checking that your shape is actually looking like a 3D face on there. And to keep the symmetry, just adding some little bits of clay here. My nose is a little bit long. The bottom of the nose should be about halfway between the eye and the bottom of the chin. That was a little bit too high on here. Replacing the nostrils and adding that little bit in between the 2 nostrils on here to make it anatomically correct. So then now I'm going to carve out a little bit more space to put the eyes on here. So gouging out a little bit more of the clay on there with my tool, pushing in with my fingers. And once I've done this, I'm going to make some really tiny balls of clay to create my eyes on there. So you create a ball of clay first. You can see it looks a little bit oversized in the head, but don't worry too much about this because we're going to add eyelids on there. To create the eyelid, create a tiny ball of clay, push it flat, okay, and cut it in half. You've got 2 eyelids there. Here I realized I've forgotten to put the kind of pupil of the eye, so I'm going to come back and put those 2 pupils on here. It looks a little bit scared, but once you put the eyelids, it will look okay again. So you blend the eyelids with your fingers. You can also use a pencil or your sculpting tool to refine the shapes on here. So adding the second eyelid on that one and on the other one. And then with some tiny carves of clay rolled between my fingers, I'm going to push in the lips, okay, and refine those using my pencil. And just keeping refining the shape on here, making sure it's nice and roughly symmetrical, and kind of pushing that in a little bit. The clay is soft and easy to kind of model. You can use the tools to accentuate the eyelids and the different features. And that's it. Before you finish off, just carve out some of the back on there. So don't carve it so much that you're going to put a hole and damage your sculpture. Just carve out the rough of it so it can be fired. And that's it.